Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in my quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and this is the show where we talk about the things that we love the most, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all that great stuff. And I'm joined here today, as he often does on Wednesday, all the way out from Austin, Texas. The wonderful Sean Chandler's here. Sean, how you doing?
I'm doing good, besides being scorching hot because Texas is brutal these days. And I just picked up my daughter from school.
Oh, and you walked. You walked to pick up your daughter from school. Also joining us from the also unusually hot California in Burbank. I think it's 104 degrees where I am right now. Jonathan Voico's here. Jonathan, how you doing?
Yeah, give me 2 more weeks and we'll be in cooler weather and I'll be a happier man. That's for sure. Hello,
and
everyone.
most importantly, guys, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of topics we got lined up for you guys. And then normally in the second half of the show is when we take live comments and questions. However, we're starting today's show about an hour and a half late today because I had to do a whole bunch of prep work this morning for the upcoming leg of the movie meetup tour, which I had to go get an oil change on Colossus. That's the name of the van. And it took way longer than normal. So we're just going to have a shorter show today talking about some issues, and then we'll get back to the live questions on tomorrow's show. And hello to everybody who's in the live chat. I always love watching the live chat go by and watching you guys chat. So let's get on to some stuff here, shall we? And we are going to start off, unfortunately, with this. Tim Curry. Sometimes people want to throw around the word legendary or iconic. It applies here. Legendary actor Tim Curry has passed away at the age of 80. Just a day after another entertainment icon in the world of music, Dolly Parton, passed away also at the age of 80. But Tim Curry has passed away at the age of 80. And I don't mind telling you that this guy was absolutely... There's these certain actors who may not be on your list of your absolute favorite actors of all time, but we all got these actors where if they pop up in something, we get a big smile on our face because they're there. And Tim Curry, for me, has always been one of those guys. And of course, he'll be most remembered for Rocky Horror and playing Pennywise in It. But man, I'll tell you what, I'll think of him in a couple of other things. One of my favorite comedies is this. A lot of you guys haven't seen it. It's this older Sylvester Stallone film that had Tim Curry in it as Professor Poole. As
Linguist, right?
Poole, the linguist, Professor Poole. I also remember him in a Three Musketeers movie where not one of the more beloved ones, but he played the cardinal, the big evil cardinal. I mean, just whenever he would show up in things, and even in the world of Star Wars, he was the voice in Clone Wars for a couple of seasons of Palpatine and a few others. I think he took over in like season 6 of that. He was just always amazing and filled the screen with his personality and his charm. And he had one of the most unique presences. Like his presence was amongst the most unique out of any Hollywood actor whenever he would grace the stage and come on stage. And I remember hearing a while ago that his health wasn't great. But I didn't really think too much of it. And then I was kind of caught by surprise this morning when I heard that Tim Curry had passed away, who is just, I mean, what a loss. What an absolute loss. And I know you guys probably have your favorites. So Sean, let me ask you, when you think of Tim Curry, what are going to be the first few things that come to mind for you?
Immediately Clue. That's the one that my
course.
family watches all the time. Introduced it to the kids a few years back and they were totally on board. That's our like go-to game night for the families, playing Clue. And so we showed them the movie and it's just so good. That was like a Saturday afternoon movie for me growing up back in the 80s and 90s. And then now my kids love it. You list off some of them, like the Three Musketeers. That was one of my introductions to him as well. Oscar, the one you were just talking about, was Stallone. I watched that movie on loop growing up and was surprised when I got older. And a lot of people don't like that movie, but it's really funny.
Oh, it's so good.
Home Alone 2, of course. And we're listing off all these comedies, family movies that I grew up watching, but that he's a horror icon. Like he's in so many different genres. He's so versatile, yet so distinct. And that's where I think he just one of those ones that's just so tragic because he's meant so much to so many different people in so many different places. But yeah, he had a stroke 14 years ago and continued doing the con circuit and taking pictures with people and everyone like that, everything like that. And so just someone that, loved his fans, loved the art and everything like that. And, of course he will be missed.
Yeah. Hunt for Red October is another one. I mean, it just, whenever he would pop up in something, he would become instantly memorable. Anyway, Jonathan, I know you've watched a lot of Tim Curry's films. When you think of Tim Curry, what are going to be the thoughts that come to your mind?
I mean, it's hard to separate him from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, for sure.
Like it will be, I mean, even more so than the movie. Just the look of that Pennywise from that series with John Ritter. Well, he was in the second part. Is just a thing of nightmares. But a lot like Sean, I watch Clue a lot. There's nothing for me like A Rainy Day, which is kind of rare in these parts, but around October, November, December, a gloomy rainy day, putting on Clue, man, it just sets the tone. And I've always loved Tim Curry. Always. He was actually just a few blocks from me not long ago, just a few years ago. He was confined to a wheelchair, and he was there for hours at like this kind of horror theme store in Burbank on Magnolia, just a few blocks away, for hours signing fans like pictures and stuff like that, just doing an event. He was even in his like his state, he was so giving to his fans, and I'll always remember that.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. We have lost a true legend in Tim Curry. He hasn't been super active the last few years, but he has been in some of the most memorable movies, and his performance often is what made them so memorable. What are you going to think about when you think of Tim Curry? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? We were just talking the other day about how since the pandemic, I have often woke up almost every day thinking, when are we going to get a How to Lose Your Guy in 10 Days sequel? But right on top of that has been, when are we going to get another Flintstones movie? Well, if good Canadian kid Ryan Gosling has anything to say about it, we might be getting one sooner than any of us need. Because according to Deadline, Ryan Gosling is developing a live-action Flintstones Bamm-Bamm spinoff. You guys will remember that Bamm-Bamm was, of course, Betty and Barney Rubble's son, destined to be betrothed to Pebbles, of course. This is what they write over at Deadline. Ryan Gosling and his open invite producing partner, Jesse Henderson, are in early development on a live-action Flintstones feature project at Warner Brothers. We hear one that would center on a grown-up Bamm-Bamm Rubble. Right now, we hear the duo are looking for a writer, which is kind of the theme of this week, because that's exactly what they said about How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Don't have a writer. All right. Okay, first of all, let me say this. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of Ryan Gosling. I think this guy can do anything. He can do the deepest of deep, heavy drama. He can do action. He can do comedy. He can do, God, what he did in Barbie can never be overstated. Like, he was so good in Barbie. And then this year, I think he's going to get nominated for Best Actor for Project Hail Mary. He's versatile. He's charming. He's got all, just Canadian Ryans seem to carry it all. So I love him. So it would be with a heavy heart that if Ryan were in the room with me right now, as a good fellow Canadian, I would call him a hoser and say, "What are you thinking, eh?" I honestly, is anybody looking for a Flintstones movie right now? It reminds me, nobody learned the lesson that we just had to forcibly learn after Masters of the Universe? Listen, you had this property that was beloved in the 80s. That's great, but it's never had a sustained presence in pop culture, and you can't just expect to pop it back on the screen and everybody's going to go out to it. Because nobody did. Nobody did. And listen, I grew up watching Flintstones reruns. Of course I did. I would come home from school on my lunch break, and every afternoon at 12 o'clock, there would be Flintstones reruns, and I would watch Flintstones. I loved Flintstones as a kid. But and listen, I'm not here trying to take any shots, guys, at the John Goodman, Rick Moranis live action version of that, although that wasn't anything great either. But I mean, I think in the 15 plus years I've done this, I don't know if I've ever once, in the hundreds of thousands of emails, messages, social media posts, and comments in the comment section, I don't think I've once had anybody go, John, when are we getting another Flintstones movie? And especially if you're Ryan Gosling, who right now the world is your oyster. Like, you were one of the big producers on Project Hail Mary. You brought that thing over the finish line. You got that made. You have a plethora. What is a plethora? Anyway, you have a plethora of options and opportunities in front of you, Ryan. Who's asking for a grown-up Bamm-Bamm movie? Now, look, I'm not in the offices with Ryan and his producing partner. I'm not there. Maybe they came up with an idea that was like Breaking Bad, but in the Stone Age with the Flintstones. It's like, all right. Like, maybe Bamm-Bamm's dad's old boss, Mr. Slate, is running a Coke Rock cane ring. I don't know. And I don't know. Maybe they've got a brilliant conceit, a brilliant idea. If only I knew it, Sean, maybe I'd be on board for it. But right now I have to ask, why the hell are they even talking about a Flintstones movie? Anyway, Sean, tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why this could be a really good idea, or whatever your honest thoughts on this are. What do you think?
What do you mean there's no sustained presence in popular culture? Sustained presence right here. Fruity Pebbles.
It's there.
Got a box in my house.
Oh my God.
My kids have never seen an episode of the Flintstones. They know almost, like, maybe they know the song because it's just that catchy. But outside of Fruity Pebbles, you're right, it disappeared. It's been gone from the popular culture for a long time. Like, I was the target age for those Flintstones back in the 90s, and I didn't even watch them. I watched the Flintstones cartoons, but I didn't even watch the movies. And that itself was 30 years ago. The Flintstones heyday was 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, when my mother, who is in her 70s, was growing up, that's when the Flintstones was the bedrock of popular culture. It is not anymore. And so when I saw this in your email, I was like, what? It's not even a Flintstones movie. It's a spinoff, which, to do a spinoff, you have to understand the foundational thing. You have to, like, have a point of reference. This would, like, I mean, we just did a Spider-Man villain universe that's all spinoffs. Look how that went. And now we're going to do it with Bamm-Bamm, who has less of a cultural footprint, and the thing that it's associated with is even way dated as opposed to Spider-Man. I don't know. It's such a bizarre idea that you just kind of go, what is your pitch, Ryan? Like, are you just crazy? Like, were you pranking them? Or do you really have, like, this thing that's super compelling? I want to know what that is. Like, what is the thing that made, now that I'm on top of the world, 2 years after Barbie, Project Hail Mary, I've got the clout, the leverage to get something greenlit. And he went, Bamm-Bamm it is. We're bringing back the Flintstones. What is this?
It's
pitch?
time. It's time. I've been waiting for this. I've been building my Hollywood clout for 2 decades. Yeah, I don't get it. I really don't. Now, again, it is possible, because this just happened recently. I was doubting recently, Sean, the whole Jimmy Olsen Gorilla Grodd thing. Like, I was pretty openly, really? That's what we're doing? But then when they put out what the actual pitch of the show was, and it's true crime mockumentary like The Office and whatever, and from the people who made American Vandal, show running this. And it's Gorilla Grodd was convicted of murdering his father, but intrepid reporter Jimmy, it's supposed to be a documentary. Jimmy Olsen believes he was wrongfully convicted.
Yeah.
When I suddenly heard the pitch, then I'm like, oh, actually, that might be pretty good. So I did a little bit of a turnaround on it once I heard what the conceit was. Maybe that can happen with Bamm-Bamm. Maybe they come out and I don't know, Bamm-Bamm runs into Pebbles 20 years later. She's married with 2 kids and he's committed to stealing her away from her family. I don't know, like real heavy human drama.
It might not matter about the story so much as like you could have as so much as like if it's a self-aware comedy and it's full of great bits, it doesn't really matter. The rest is just a premise.
But here's the question though. Even if it is funny, is anybody interested? Because, you pointed this out before, Jonathan, that one of the big problems, and you and Rob talked about this, with Masters of the Universe, is that when you ultimately looked at the data of the demographics that went, Masters of the Universe didn't get Gen Z to go to it.
No.
And I can't imagine anybody from Gen Z is going to go to this, even if it does turn out to be pretty good.
Yeah.
So
because,
I don't know.
I mean, I'd say, I'm guessing Sean and I are around the same age. Maybe I'm a little older. I don't know. But we were of the last generation where we were watching the Flintstones long into its like rerun era into maybe the early 90s. And then it ended, So.
But hey, listen, I say all that, but Ryan Gosling puts himself in it as Bamm-Bamm and does his Ken. What he did for Ken and Barbie, he does for Bamm-Bamm.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
hey, I'm sure
21 Jump Street. Who wanted that 15 years ago?
That's a very good point. And
I'm going to go out on a limb and say he probably also looks great in a loincloth. So there's a certain demographic that are going to come out and see him.
There it is.
I'm going to have 3C Films look up.
I was going to say, if 3C was here right now, I'd be looking up Ryan Gosling in a loincloth.
I don't want that heat on my Google search, but he can search it.
All right, guys. The question is for you. What do you think about this? Apparently, Ryan Gosling has thought that with all of his influence now in Hollywood, the best thing to do is to make a Flintstone spinoff movie. All right. I mean, one of our commenters put in a comment saying, I would have loved to have been a fly in the room where the pitch meeting for that happened. I'd love to hear that too. There's a lot of smoke in the air. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey, by the way, guys, before we continue on with the next topic, I just want to throw this out there. I shared, we have a John Campea thread group that, me, Scott, Jonathan, Rob, and I shared this, but I wanted to just share with everybody. Side note, we're not making a topic out, just complete side note. So, they've been announcing the X-Men cast coming out. Well, our boy, Boss Logic, who we're very blessed to have on our show, not too awful long ago, was on with us. He hit us with not just a great piece of art, which is what he always does, but man, he just hit us with a great piece of fan casting for some of you who may have seen it. Anna Sawai as Psylocke. As soon as I saw that in my brain cavity, I was like, I will accept no other. Anna Sawai from Monarch, with the Godzilla series Monarch, obviously in one of the greatest shows of all time, Shogun. She won all the acting awards, including the Emmy and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, that's it. There can never be another Psylocke. It has to be Anna Sawai. Anyway, no reason I brought that up. I just, I saw it and I thought I wanted to share it with everybody because that's pretty damn great. Good job as always, Boss Logic. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this. Well, the intrepid journey, when you think of that, maybe you think of Odysseus, but Odysseus's journey had nothing on the journey of Coyote versus Acme. course, a movie that got greenlit under the previous ownership of Warner Brothers prior to David Zaslav and crew coming in, that they then inherited, and they looked at the film and said, this is good, but it's going to lose us a lot of money, so we're not going to release it. And then they put it up for sale and asked any other studio if they wanted to buy it, and no studios wanted to buy it. And then along came Ketchup Entertainment, and they said, we'll take a crack at it. So they did, and sure enough, the word on it has been great. It has been extremely good. As a matter of fact, as of this recording, as of right now, Coyote vs. Acme has a 95% critic rating. By the way, that is a marvelous poster. An absolutely marvelous poster. I love it. It's holding a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. And so I've heard from people that it's really good. I thought the last trailer was absolutely fantastic. And I came to the thought that two things are going to be true at the same time. One, this movie is going to flop very hard, and it's not going to make any money. At the same time, I also do think it looks really, really good, and I kind of hope people will see it. So because of that, I got challenged to break my rule and actually go to a press screening so I could start talking about this movie early, which I never do. I haven't done it in years, but I did it for Coyote vs. Acme. And last night, I went to a screening of Coyote vs. Acme. And I will say this. While I don't think it's quite as good as some people are lauding it to be, like it's not going to end up in my top 10 favorite films of the year, it is nonetheless a very entertaining movie. This is a very entertaining, surprisingly moments of emotional resonance, some great social commentary, some nice nostalgia, and it just, and here's the thing, this movie doesn't work if you don't immediately, because we've seen this happen with Pokemon movies and whatever, you have to immediately buy into the conceit that this is a world where it's a regular real world, but animated characters exist in it as well. And this movie does such a good job of throwing that hook out there and reeling you in with that. And its absolute strength, and this is the most important part of any comedy, you can get everything wrong in a comedy. You can have bad characters, you can have uninteresting dialogue, you can have a stupid story. But if you make the audience laugh in a comedy, everything else is forgiven. In the case of She-Hulk, if you fail to make the audience laugh, nothing else matters. You failed. And that was my biggest problem with She-Hulk, was that it just wasn't funny. Coyote versus Acme is ridiculously funny. Like it's really funny. And part of it is because of jokes that are nods to the nostalgia of Looney Tunes, which not all audiences will get. And then some of it is just great, timeless comedy. And for it to have a lead character that does not speak, being Wile E. Coyote, and yet somehow make you really get on board with the character and you actually find yourself cheering for the Coyote, was a remarkable feat. John Cena, fabulous in it. Like just fabulous in it. I'm forgetting the name of the actor, guys, who plays Coyote's lawyer. Will Forte. Will Forte was fantastic in it. Like absolutely, he's just absolutely him. It's him and Wile E. Coyote for a lot of the movie. He's playing off an animated character, and it was absolutely fantastic. And as far as Coyote goes, you're thinking, how am I going to get one over to a serial killer? How am I going to get one over to the only thing we know this character is his nonstop thirsty quest for murder? That's all he tries to do in his entire existence, is try to literally murder the Roadrunner. How is this movie going to get us to feel empathy for this character, to get us on his side? And my God, they do it. My God, they do it. And they do it in several different ways. Like, you already know the basic conceit. Coyote is fed up with this company, Acme, who every time he buys one of their devices, something goes wrong with it. And he decides he wants to sue Acme and gets Will Forte as his lawyer to do it. And like, so they go through this big montage, not only of new stuff of him trying to catch the Roadrunner and everything going wrong, but then they brilliantly bring in old clips from the things before we were even kids of Coyote using various Acme things to try to get Roadrunner. And when they put all this huge collage together, you're like, damn, I kind of feel bad for Coyote. And then they make you feel good about him, like without giving you any of the setup, anything that, so you don't understand the setup. None of this won't mean anything to you. But,
Right.
you know, somebody in the movie brings up the point that, look, when you look at Coyote, you are looking at somebody who has the most dedicated work ethic, who never quits, who never gives up. He gets beaten and thrown down, and yet every day he wakes up with hope and belief and grinds and never quits. And I'm like, damn it, they're really getting me on side of this mass murderer. This is great. I'm cheering for the murderer. This is amazing. And it's just, and like I said, besides the funny, there are some wonderful, wonderful moments that are really, truly, you feel like that are actually really quite emotional. And so, and it's never, like, despite the fact of John Cena and Will Forte, it never stops being Wile E. Coyote's movie. And it's just, it's a great conceit. It's very funny. Does all the humor hit? No, but some of it hits damn hard. Does it lose its way with logic sometimes? And I understand we're talking about Looney Tunes, but I'm even talking about it with some real world characters, like logic as in, well, wait a minute. Why is he doing this if he already said that? You know, that sort of thing. Yes, it loses its way in a lot of that. It is not a profoundly brilliant film. But you know what? Movies are experiential events. And this movie's an experience. And it's a lot of fun. And while it may not end up in my top 10 favorite films of the year, it is definitely going to be one of the good ones of 2026. And I'll tell you what, guys, I plan on going back to see it a couple of times.
Oh, wow.
I think I'm going to go back to watch it a few times.
I mean, looking at its runtime, if you don't count credits, it's only an hour and a half. So it's tight.
Yeah. You know, it's funny too. I saw it in a screening last night with some of the cast from the film.
Oh, cool.
Including the guy who does, he does like 8 of the voices, but he also does the Daffy Duck voice. And we're sitting in the theater, and it's about 2 minutes before the movie starts, and the lights are still kind of on, and we're all just sitting around waiting for the movie to start. And all you hear is this guy come in the theater, and in Daffy Duck's voice, why hasn't the movie started? And like, this been on it, like, and it, like, immediately you knew who it was, but it was really, really funny. So having some of the cast there was great. I will say this though, it was weird. It was my first time, because I had turned down the other press invites to go see it, and then my friend convinced me to go to this one. But this wasn't a typical press screening. It was one of those newfangled influencer screenings. So Ann and I are in the theater, and it was in a 4DX. So the whole movie we're watching, we're like being shaken in the seats, right? But I mean, like normally it's been a long time since I've gone to any press screens, but you know, when I go to press screens, you go in there, everybody's pretty quiet. They're talking to each other. They're just getting ready to watch the movie, right? At this influencer screening.
Oh no.
Believe me, I do not mean this in any sort of derogatory way. I'm just saying it was a different world.
I know.
Because first of all, everybody's like running around in the theater, like everybody's got their phones on sticks with a light, right? And they're all like, okay, let's do this one. like taking pictures all over the place. And then this girl comes out who's clearly like she's a PR, but she exclusively deals with influencers. And then she's like, remember guys, please don't take any video footage of the screen while the movie's going on. But if you want to film little reactions during really good parts, you go ahead and do that. I'm like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? Like, it's like, that would never happen in a press screening. So again,
this is almost more than like critiques. They were looking really for just marketing. Really
Oh no,
is
no,
what it
yeah,
was.
that's all influencer stuff is. They're just
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to get somebody to drop something on their Insta,
Yeah.
and that's
This
it.
isn't the critics coming. This is the
No.
marketers coming.
And it was like, so it was like, Anne just turned to me at one point. She goes, I am really uncomfortable right now. I'm like, right? But whatever. They were all having a good time. And if they help promote the movie, God bless. It was just a very, very different experience watching
Yeah.
all these people running around, setting up these very framed, very planned, very deliberate, spontaneous pictures. like we're sitting there's like literally 10 different groups of people standing there with their little lights doing their little pictures in front of them. I'm like, wow, man, this is a different world. It's just a different world. But you know what? None of that takes away from the fact that Coyote versus Acme, ladies and gentlemen, is a really good film. I may not think it's quite the masterpiece as some other might, but I'm one of those 95%. This is an entertaining film. It is a funny film. And I think it's a movie you are going to walk out of the theater going, damn it, I had a good time. So go see it when you can. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about that? And my little thoughts about Coyote versus Acme. Have you seen it? It opens this week, but they have done a lot of fan screenings around the country. Maybe you've seen it already. Are you looking forward to seeing it if you haven't? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? On the opposite end of the spectrum of Coyote versus Acme, which has come out with like 95% critic ratings, the new Ridley Scott film, Dog Stars, which upon seeing the previews for it, I said, looks like dog shit. I mean, it just doesn't look good. But whatever, maybe it'll be brilliant. Maybe it'll be Ridley Scott's new Martian. Now, I haven't seen Dog Stars yet, but the reviews are now out. And as of this recording, whereas Coyote versus Acme is at a 95, Dog Stars is at a 34. As we go over to take a look at some of the reviews, this is what some of the critics are saying. The Denver Post didn't like it. They said, for all its technical confidence and pleasant faces, the Dog Stars squanders its actors' talents and trades true insight for familiar action. There's little to chew on after the camera pans up to the stars and the screen fades to black. Diego Battle didn't like it. The film takes too many detours, and in that sense, it feels as though the novel might have worked better as a series in an expanded episodic version than this feature film format under 2 hours. Screen Crush did not like it. They wrote, better than you might expect from something released on the last Friday in August. Worse than you might expect from the man who made Blade Runner and The Martian. The AU Review didn't like it. They said, sits frustratingly between identities, too contemplative to satisfy the action-driven survival thriller it's been marketed as, but too thinly written to fully succeed as the meditative character study it clearly wants to be. Real James didn't like it. It feels like Ridley Scott is in those twilight years of his career. Punch Drunk critics, they did like it. They said, while a bit rough around the edges, the Dog Stars offers a different, highly entertaining take on the post-apocalyptic thriller. David Arroyo didn't like it, said, a watered-down version of I Am Legend. It's not bad, and it doesn't feel like it's doing anything terrible, but it doesn't elicit the opposite reaction either. It's neither excites nor surprises. It feels like it was made on autopilot. Loud Clear Reviews didn't like it. They said Ridley Scott's latest, The Dog Stars, contains riveting action and welcome humor, but it sorely lacks both originality and an emotional core. And then we'll just end with, instead of going on and on, we'll just end with, it's better in the dark. Writes, it's reassuring to see a movie that reminds us that even after the apocalypse, there's always going to be poor people wanting to steal our stuff.
I don't even know what that means.
I'm not 100% on board or understanding what that means either, to be honest. But there you have it. So obviously not getting the best reviews. And I've never thought this movie looks very good. And look, guys, yesterday somebody asked a question. Somebody wrote in yesterday. I think it might have been during Overreaction. And somebody asked, if Dog Stars isn't received well, which we now know it's not,
Mm.
does that tarnish Ridley Scott's legacy? To which I said firmly, and I still believe and will always believe, not a chance. Ridley Scott's career is set in stone. He is going to go down. He will be supping amongst Valhalla when the time comes. He is one of the greatest to ever do it. He may not be great today, but that doesn't change what he was. And I kind of mentioned yesterday, Sean, that look, whether you think he's number one or number two or number three, everybody agrees Michael Jordan's one of the greatest of all time. If you look at his numbers in the last 2 years of his career, they weren't anything to write home about. Does that tarnish his impeccable legacy at all? Of course not. Of course not. Now, having said that I 100% believe that Ridley Scott's legacy is completely 100% locked, loaded, and secure forever. And maybe I'll like Dog Stars when I see it, but right now most people seem that they don't. I'll be the guy to ask the question and put it out there. Is it just time for Ridley Scott to retire? Is it just straight up time for Ridley Scott to retire? Because I'll tell you what, the last truly great movie he made was 12 years ago. That was The Martian. And the last great one he made before that, I couldn't even tell you. Might have been Gladiator. Well, no, there's a couple. There's a couple that came out after Gladiator weren't too awful bad either. But if we look at like his last 10 movies, the world, guys, seems to be divided between whether people like Prometheus or don't like Prometheus. I'm one of the guys that I wasn't a big fan of Prometheus. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to have that one as a win. The Counselor is truly one of the 20 or 30 worst films I've ever seen in my life. Rob really likes it. I want to remind Rob likes it, but I think it's like one of the 30 worst films ever. Exodus, Gods and Kings, I thought was a waste. Then he did The Martian in 2015, which is amazing. I love The Martian. Then he did Alien Covenant, which I also really didn't like. He did All the Money in the World, which I didn't think was all that great. He did The Last Duel, which I was terminally bored with and thought was terrible. He did House of Gucci, which I don't think was terrible, but again, nothing to remember or to write home about. Then he did a movie I was extremely excited about in Napoleon, because they showed us like 10 minutes of it at CinemaCon, and it blew my mind. And then I watched it and I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. And then he did Gladiator 2, which I'm sorry that again, in a vacuum, not a bad little ancient Rome movie, I guess, but as a follow-up to Gladiator, it was just terrible. And I'll never forget, I had to look this up when Denzel Washington says, take them to the back and hose them down. I'm like, wait a minute. And sure enough, this is the nerd in me. I had to go home and look it up. Sure enough, the hose had not been created until literally centuries after that. So that's a minor thing, but still, I mean, to me, I think he's one out of his last 13. Then we won't even talk about that Robin Hood movie he did with Russell Crowe. And look, he will go down as I think one of the greatest to ever do it. But it might just be time for him to wrap it up, because I mean, again, not a lot on that list that I think is pure unadulterated garbage, like The Counselor, but I don't think anything else on that list is like pure refuse. But most of it isn't very good. So I don't know, Sean, first of all, are you surprised to hear about the reviews for Dog Stars? What were you kind of expecting the response to it would be? And then, look, I'll put you on the spot. I know you're not the one putting the question out there, but I will, and I'll put you on the spot again. I'm asking the question about whether it might just be time for Ridley Scott to take an extremely well-earned retirement from doing this. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, he's 88 years old right now, and his birthday's in November, so he's going to be 89 in just a few months. And he's earned it. He has earned retirement. And if his retirement is making movies, I guess he's earned the right to continue making movies that are below average, just because if that's what he wants to do. But yeah, I mean, you look at his last 15 years, and there's one movie in there that is universally loved by audiences and critics. There's a few more movies in there that I'd be a little bit kinder to than you were to, but not that I loved them either. There's only one in there, The Martian, that was like, man, that's a classic Ridley Scott film.
And it is so good.
Mhm.
Oh,
I mean, rewatching it a couple years back, it's like, no, this is just as good as I remembered it being. And you look at his career, and he put out all-time great movies in the 70s, 80s, 90s, zeros, and then Martian a decade ago. But for the most part, in the last 20 years, it's just not that anymore. It's just like the same excitement. Oh, a new Ridley Scott movie.
Right.
It doesn't mean at all what it used to mean. Like, you just look at the track record, and there's so much more disappointment than
yeah.
awesome. And so I was, generally speaking, pretty excited because I like the cast, and it seemed like a genre that's a little bit safer for him to try and do something good. But I don't know. You trying to even understand what exactly it is that his movies keep being so blah, even when tackling genres that should be easier to like pull off and do something good. But even you read the reviews from Dogstar of that it can't decide if it wants to be the action movie or this contemplative character study. And that almost kind of feels like the tension that continues to be in a lot of these failures of, it's an alien movie, but is it trying to be not an alien movie? Or there's always like this weird tension in them that he can't decide what he wants the movie to be, or the screenwriter couldn't figure it out. And so you get some beautiful shots, but a movie that's kind of confused overall as to what it's trying to do and accomplish in a way that in past decades, he was able to merge his ideas and his pop sensibilities together much better. And he just hasn't been able to do that nearly as well the last 20 years.
You'll see. He's going to book Bamm-Bamm and knock your socks off.
There it is.
From producer Ryan Gosling and the director of Gladiator comes Bamm-Bamm.
Bamm-Bamm.
Are you not entertained? Look, I said a little bit earlier, he has earned a retirement. I mean, if anybody has in this business, it's him. I should also say the opposite. He is Ridley Scott. And while he has earned a retirement, he's also earned that if he wants to keep making movies, he's earned that too. He just has. But
if people are willing to put up the money, then it's none of our business.
That's the point, though. Like, if I'm a studio exec at this point, am I willing to put up $260 million for, or $360 million for a production and a marketing budget for a Ridley Scott movie today? And
maybe if you're Annapurna, which we didn't talk about today.
Well, yeah, Annapurna, who just laid off a bunch of people. By the way, that seems to be the more talented Ellison, is the one over at Annapurna. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's unfortunate to hear that this one didn't quite work. But again, maybe, listen, a lot of movies come out that other people don't like that I do. So maybe this will be one of them, but I'm kind of doubting it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The reviews for Dog Stars are not surprisingly really not good. And I just kind of asked the question, maybe it's just time at his age and at his legacy is already very, very secure. Maybe it's time for Ridley Scott to hang it up. I don't know. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we thought we would take some time today to play ourselves a little game of what's more likely. The way the game works is really simple. We jumped on the YouTube's community tab a little bit earlier, and we asked you guys to send in some scenarios that would elicit a response of what's more likely. Jonathan's got a few of them gathered up in front of him there. So Jonathan, what do we got up first?
All right, first up, we'll start with you, Sean. What's more likely in this scenario? We hear from Mitaj Kure, I'm not quite sure. Sam Raimi directs another Spider-Man film, or Christopher Nolan directs another Batman film?
I think it's way more likely that we get another Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie than another Christopher Nolan Batman movie. Christopher Nolan just had his biggest hit ever. It's an R-rated movie, biggest R-rated movie of all time, doing the Odyssey. He can do whatever he wants, and there's just no reason in the world that he would go back to the constraints of a franchise run by a studio when he has all the freedom in the world. Whereas Sam Raimi, I mean, he went back and worked for MCU just a few years back. And so that seems far more plausible to me.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Sean on this. It is far more likely Sam Raimi for two different reasons. The one, which Sean kind of pointed out here, is that Christopher Nolan has been very explicit over the years. He's never doing another Batman movie. Like he's been asked straight up, and he has straight up answered. At the same time, Sam Raimi, he just did a comic book movie not long ago, and it damn near made $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
It came like that close to cracking the $1 billion club. And more importantly than that, Kevin Feige really likes working with him. Kevin Feige, like once he referred to Sam Raimi as like one of the grownups that, you know, you can leave him in the room alone and not have to worry about that movie getting made because he'll look after it. Right. And so the fact that he likes making those still, the fact that Kevin Feige really likes him, I'm not necessarily saying we're going to get another Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, but that out of the two scenarios is absolutely the one that is more likely. All right, Jonathan, what we got up next?
All right, over to you, John. This comes from Hardcore Fencer. What's more likely, Storm in Black Panther 3 or Miles Morales in Spider-Man 5?
This is one of those ones that both are very unlikely. I don't think by the time Spider-Man 5 comes around that Sony will be in a position or in a place that they're ready to let Marvel start doing live action Miles Morales. I don't think that's going to happen. And also, I don't think they introduce Storm in Black Panther 3. I just don't think that's what they do it. And also, I need to remind everybody about this. Never in the comics did Storm have a relationship with T'Challa's son. That's never been in the comics. And remember, this isn't T'Challa. We don't have T'Challa anymore. The Black Panther now is not T'Challa. He happens to be his offspring, who also on his driver's license, it says the word T'Challa under his name, but it's not T'Challa. It's not the same guy that Storm had a relationship with in the comic books. Does that mean they can't do that? Well, yeah, they still could. They still could, but that possibility of having the iconic comic book relationship between T'Challa and Storm is non-existent because that character's not even in the MCU anymore. So it would be a different thing. It would be a different thing altogether. That all being said, while I think both are unlikely, I will say the more likely of the two is probably the Storm T'Challa Jr. Thing. Again, I don't think that's what they're going to do. It's not what was in the comic books. There's no reason to bring Storm into that now. If Chadwick Boseman was still there, maybe, but he's not. But out of the two, Sean, I'll say the one that is least unlikely is Storm in Black Panther 3. What do you think?
Yeah, I look at both of them and I can see a scenario where Marvel would do either situation because they are doing kind of these little crossovers. And if we're doing a younger X-Men and they're who they cast to play the son, maybe there's some way that that's their alternative version of what they're going to do with this. Tom Holland has been talking about how they're having many conversations about doing Miles. So I can imagine a scenario in either one where it would happen. And some of it depends on how long until we actually do Spider-Man 5. They took 5 years to give us Brand New Day. So if it's another 5 years, sure, I can imagine the scenario. If they try and do it a quick turnaround, it's much less likely. But when you're introducing Jean Grey in a Spider-Man film, you start kind of like all bets are off of what we're doing with playing around with when we're introducing people. So I just can kind of see those scenarios because it seems like they're doing some of these crossovers. But I guess I'd call the Storm one more likely just because of the timing.
Yeah, that's the timing is a good way to put it. All right, Jonathan, what's up next?
All right, Sean, back over to you on this one from David Jones. What's more likely, Man of Tomorrow makes over 800 million or the Batman Part 2 makes over 1 billion?
I'm going to go with Batman Part 2 hits $1 billion because it's Batman. People love Batman, and we got a little pinch of him in The Flash, but not what people really wanted. So like we're finally getting a follow-up to the Batman all these years later. Maybe it has that same kind of energy of what kind of happened with Brand New Day, of that absence makes the heart grow fonder. And it's like, we're finally getting him back on the big screen. This movie they've been talking about kept getting delayed, finally comes out. If it lives up to the hype, the excitement, the standards set by the previous movie. It's Batman. We're way past COVID. Box office is recovered. It's hitting $1 billion.
Yeah, unlike the last topic, this one, I think both have a chance. I think there's absolutely a chance that Superman, which made over $600 million, very close to $700 million, and it was super well received, 90% audience rating, very good critic rating, all that kind of stuff. I could see that easily making another $150 million to hit 800. That being said, Matt Reeves' The Batman made over $700 million, almost 800. So it only has about 220 to go to the billion mark. So that's totally within reach as well. I'm going to agree with Sean on this one. I think I think the chances of Man of Tomorrow, if it's as good as Superman, and that's a big if, but if it is, yeah, I could totally see it getting to 800, but I have an even easier time seeing the Batman. Again, like Sean said, if it lives up to its potential, if it lives up to the high standard of the first Robert Pattinson Batman movie, if it does that, making another $250 million, yeah, I think that's even more likely. So I'm going to go, the more likely scenario is the next Batman movie making over $1 billion. All right. What's next, Jonathan?
All right, sticking with you, John. We're going to hear from Fett's Hand. What's more likely here to go into production, Accountant 3 or The Ballerina 2?
Wow, and we're right back to no chance in hell for either of them. And I'm going to say also the caveat on both of those, that they both deserve to get more films. I don't know what you folks were thinking by not going to see Ballerina. It was great. Ballerina was great. I'm not going to say it was as good as John Wick, but damn, John Wick is really good in Ballerina. And the whole movie was just an ass load of fun. It's just a really, really fun movie. I don't know why more people didn't go see it. It was totally fun. And I'll never understand why more people don't watch the Accountant movies. I love the Accountant movies. I thought number 2 was even better than the first one. The chemistry and dynamic between Ben Affleck and John Bernthal as brothers is great. Like, capital G, great. It's so good. It's so fun. And nobody sees either of them. They don't make any money. So I don't know why any studio greenlight them. So if I had to say one had the better chance, it's going to be The Accountant. The reason being is Ben Affleck carries a lot of weight with a number of the studios. I mean, it was his weight and influence that got the second one made. He really wanted a second one made. And I think while it's a very, very small chance, some bit of a chance still exists. He might be able to convince somebody to let him do a third one as well. I don't see that reality for Ballerina, unfortunately, because I would love to see another Ballerina movie, but it ain't going to happen. So yeah, Sean, I'm going to say the more likely one out of the two very unlikely scenarios is The Accountant 3. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, neither one of them did great at the box office, and they both cost about the same amount of money. I also really enjoyed both films, and I thought The Ballerina really surprised me that it actually was much better than I expected it to be, and then didn't do great at the box office. I think it's more likely we'd get an Accountant 3 because it's one of those Amazon Prime movies and they seem to have more blow money than some other studios to just take these wild, weird swings to try and make talent happy. And they want to make Ben Affleck happy. So here, let's give you another Accountant movie. I think there's a little bit of a scenario in that where Ballerina, I think that's just, you could just look at the box office drop off from the John Wick proper movies to that film and they go, that's just not the right direction to go. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I specifically remember being introduced to John Wick, watching Movie Talk back in the day and watching you guys Keanu Reeves is avenging his dead puppy. Whatever that was, I have distinct memories of watching that episode being like, I got to check out whatever this movie is. Whatever that 12 years ago.
That was, oh man, that was, what's funny about, I'll sidetrack us just for a second. John Wick is still one of the most fascinating stories because everybody forgets that Keanu Reeves' career was pretty much dead when that came out, right? And then all of a sudden he was a global superstar again with that. It's just such a good thing. All right. Sorry, Jonathan, what's our next one up here?
This is our final one. This is going over to Sean, and it comes from Square Circle Entertained. What's more likely here? Disney, this is a hot button one. Disney buying DC or James Gunn going back to the MCU?
I would think it's dramatically more likely that James Gunn 10 years down the line would go back and do, Guardians 4 or whatever, then Disney would also buy DC, which I think you could probably run into legal trouble of monopoly of having the whole comic book genre or whatever. But I don't know who would want Marvel and DC under the same banner. So I don't know, like, that doesn't even seem appealing to me. It doesn't seem like that would be a good creative ecosystem for the darker side to DC and what it kind of usually stands for. So I just don't see that anything on the table versus, down the road. I mean, he went back and he did Guardians 3 before heading back to DC. So he's already done the back and forth. And so the idea that he would do one more back and forth for some Guardians revival film or whatever, I can imagine that.
Yeah.
Look, if we were playing overreaction right now and somebody said, overreactions, James Gunn will be back at the MCU by 2028, I would say that's not an overreaction. I think that is a very much a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I would say that wouldn't be an overreaction at all. I think that is a very distinct possibility. To Sean's point, though, and this has got to be made very, very clear. If, and this is a huge if Paramount decided to put up on the sales block some IPs like DC in order to come back under the thresholds and be within the law so the whole sale and everything can go through, if they put that piece up, it is an absolute impossibility. Like, let me be very clear to everybody here, because I keep seeing some fan stuff. Be very clear. It is not improbable. It is an absolute impossibility that Disney could then buy that piece. Disney would be the one studio that would absolutely, by the law, not be legally permitted to buy it. Because if Disney were to buy DC, they would have a 95% monopoly in the comic book industry. Mm-hmm. And that is something that no legal body will ever allow to happen. It just simply, even if DC wanted to do it, even if Marvel wanted to do it, they would never legally be allowed to happen. It is a 100% impossibility. So if, what's more likely scenario, you have one thing and one of them is a complete impossibility, it's definitely more likely that James Gunn ends up back at the MCU. And all right, guys, that will wrap up our little session of what's more likely. Thank you to everybody who sent in your submissions. Keep your eyes open, of course, on the YouTube channel's community tab for the next time we put out a call for submissions, and maybe you'll see your scenario on the next round of what's more likely. Okay, guys, with that down, let's get on to this. Well, the other day, of course, and we talked about it here on the show, Avengers Endgame Encore dropped their trailer, announced tickets have gone on sale, and the countdown has begun, and put out a fabulous new poster. By the way, that poster looked great. Thought it was wonderful. And Sean, I was talking on the show yesterday. It's like, I'm not big, other than when it's like 30-year re-releases or something like that. I'm not big on the re-release thing. Some of them interest me, some of them don't, whatever. But I had to admit, when that Endgame Encore trailer played, I was surprised to find myself getting the feels. Like, I was getting the feels. That whole close-up shot of Cap's arm grabbing the strap of the shield and tightening it up, and I'm like, okay, the blood started pumping and the hair on my arm starts standing up, and I'm like, you know what? I do want to go back. I want to go back, if it's just to be in a theater with other people when the portal scenes happens. And Cap says, Avengers, assemble. And then they all start charging. It's great. By the way, still a question I have for everybody about Avengers Endgame. And I love Avengers Endgame, but okay. When did they hand out, in the big final battle of Avengers Endgame, when did they hand out little radio earpieces to absolutely everybody on the good guy side? Because everybody's like, Cap, can you hear me? Oh, Carol, give it to her. Hawkeye, where are you? Like, everybody's got these wireless ear communicators. And like, did that just snap back with you when the Hulk did the snap? Anyway, that's another thing for another time. But it did bring up the question for all of us that can Endgame, with this re-release, actually pass Avatar to become the highest grossing film of all time? It is I believe we did the math yesterday. It's $123 million short. $123 million short. And that's, listen, make no mistake, that is a lot of money for a re-release.
Yeah, big time. But
You might want to look it up, Jonathan, but I think I don't know if any re-release has made that much money. I just don't know. If there have,
Coraline made a lot of money, but I'll look up.
I don't, if there have been, it's not many that have made that much. But we all knew, especially when that trailer dropped and the way they're tying it into Doomsday, that it has a shot. Well, like we said, the tickets went on sale. And while the tickets did not crash all the sites, like when the Doomsday tickets went on sale, or when the Dune 3 tickets went on sale, or when the Odyssey tickets went on sale, it is just a re-release. But let's go over and take a look, shall we? Let's take a little look-see. Here I am on the AMC website looking at first day. I mean, obviously, officially, Endgame Encore comes out on the 25th. That really means Thursday, September the 24th. Okay, let's take a peekie. The very first screening on Thursday, September the 24th. It's the 1 o'clock screening. And let's see here. Look at that. Everything but the first couple of rows.
Yeah.
Everything else completely sold. All right.
And I can't buy one because my A-list is filled.
Yeah, I've only got one A-list spot yet, so I couldn't buy one either. Or because if I booked it, then I wouldn't be able to go see another movie for another month. So I have to keep it open. But I will go to see it. Okay, so let's look down at the AMC XL screen here. And we open it up, and so the first one was the Dolby. Remember, this is a re-release of a movie everybody can watch at home right now on Disney Plus. That's still a month away, and the tickets are selling.
You've got Endgame at home, Billy.
We got Endgame at home, Billy. Oh, there's Jonathan's
Oh yeah,
screen
if you want to here. When you're ready to show the chart, I'll here.
Yeah. So what do we got here?
Top grossing re-releases of all time. So in 2012, you had Titanic at 350, 186 for Lion King. If you look over at number 9, like Avatar was 76 million. Nemo made 69 million. And
man, that
Avatar,
Titanic re-release made 350 million
in 2012. Yeah.
So three films have made over that $123 million mark that Endgame needs to do it. So only 3 times it's ever happened.
All 3 now under the Disney banner.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, and all of them are under the Disney banner at this point. So I spoke to somebody this morning who is connected with the box office industry that just said the numbers are still very preliminary. Official ones will come out in the next 48 hours or so. But what was told to me, and I know some others have already talked about this online as well, is that it's looking like Avengers Endgame Encore is going to do it. Like they're projecting right now it's going to do it. It will make more than 123 million. And we are now going to be talking about, for the second time in its history, that Avengers Endgame will become the #1 box office film of all time, until the 30th anniversary re-release of the original Avatar. Let's go back to Pandora, and it makes the 60 million it needs to make to retake it again. Whatever, Disney wins either way. But yeah, it looks like it's gonna do it. And 3 other films have ever done it, made over 123 million on a re-release. It looks like this one is going to do it as well. Anyway, Sean, you saw the trailer for it. You've heard the talk. 123 million. Again, it's only been done 3 times that a re-released movie has made that much. It's looking like Avengers Endgame is going to do it. 2 questions for you are, do you see it actually crossing that threshold? And then put that into context for us about like what that means for it.
Yeah, I was kind of 50-50 on how well the re-release would do. Not that I thought it would do poorly, but as you pointed out, only a handful of movies have made that much money during re-release. And then you just look at what Brand New Day is doing at the box office, the growing, swelling excitement for Doomsday. And then as soon as we heard the sales for the Encore, immediately I was like, this looks very possible and it seems very likely. There just seems to be this excitement for the MCU the way that we had it back during phase 3. We're back. The MCU, it's back with that level of excitement. And there is a little bit of that generational thing of, like, I took my son to go see Endgame in theaters, and he was 7 years old at the time. And so, like, he's now in high school. There's a generation that is getting to see it on the big screen with a packed theater, and they heard stories about it, but finally get to experience it. I think there's a lot of excitement for that. And so I think it's amusing that there is going to be, looks like there's going to be this back and forth rivalry between which re-release pushes one into the lead spot a little bit more. I did have someone, I saw this in the chat, and I saw a friend of mine, Griffin, just texted me this, but it's being re-released under the name Avengers Endgame Encore. Is there a chance that leads to trouble in counting it as the box office to the original film? Does it count as a new film if it has a new title?
We asked that exact question when they first announced it, and the answer to that is it is absolutely counting towards Avengers Endgame. But we asked, that's the right question. That we asked the exact same questions, like with it actually being called a different name. And it does have a little, I mean, it's not going to have that much different footage in it. And just so people know too, I see some people confused. People think they're changing the movie. Nothing is being changed. Like somebody, I saw there's this theory going around online that in Encore, instead of Black Widow dying to get the Soul Stone, Hawkeye dies getting, no. They're not changing anything about the movie. They're going to add some extra footage. There's going to be a post-credit scene that's new. It's going to be a few new things in it, but they're not like changing anything. Like it's still going to be Hulk doing the snap and all that kind of stuff. It's just, they're not changing. But yeah, we found out definitively it is indeed going to all count towards it. But that is the right question to ask. I'm probably going to break and still use up my last AMC A-list slot to get tickets to it. Again, like, here's the thing. I'm one of the guys that I personally think Infinity War is the better movie. Like, between Infinity War and Endgame, I like Endgame very much, very much. But, man, when you're talking about moments, there are very few moments that have been as special in a movie theater as the portal scene with an audience. Like, I've heard big pops in audiences, yes, but I don't know that I've ever heard a pop every single damn, like, out of all 7 times I went to the theater to watch it, every time On Your Left happens and the room explodes, and there's just something as a movie fan, and you'd have to be a movie fan to understand this. As a movie fan, there's something special about being with all those people in that environment and being swept into the movie that way. And I would go back to watch it just for that scene. I would go back, and I am going to go back and watch it just for that scene. So I'm really excited about it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The tickets are selling at a pace that is going to be more than enough to get Avengers Endgame over that $123 million mark it needs to make in order to become the highest grossing film of all time. Are you planning on seeing it? Are you skeptical that it could make it? Oh, whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. And all right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. Big thank you to the thousands of you guys in the live chat. It's been awesome watching you guys chat along with us. Of course, thank you to all you guys who sent in the what's more likely scenarios. And of course, a big thank you to Sean Chandler. Sean, where can people find you online?
Well, if you look up Sean Chandler on YouTube, you'll either find an NFL player or a guy that looks like me. It's the guy that looks like me that's talking about movies.
And of course, our technical producer, Jonathan Voikel. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
I just had this moment in my head of like 3C looking up Sean Chandler shirtless. Anyway, see you guys later.
That will do it for us for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. My name is John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.